In encryption processes, data is encrypted by using a cryptographic algorithm and a key. So the point here is to highlight that there is an algorithm or computer program or process for the encryption and a key, which is a kind of like a password, a word, number, phrase that must be known to encrypt or decrypt the data. There are various encryption methods and some are more secure than others. The standard, one of the main standards are AES, Advanced Encryption Standards, used currently worldwide. Also very common is a type of called asymmetric encoding, which uses a public and private key, which is kind of like having two different kinds of passwords to apply the encoding to both encrypt and decrypt. So the idea is kind of explained in briefly in this illustration over here of the public-private key infrastructure, is that a public key is used to encrypt the data. So let's say Bob has a message. This message is simple, may not need encryption, but suppose you need to encrypt your message. Well, Alice, who is going to receive the message, has her own public key and private key. And the public key is used to encrypt the data. So Bob can use her key to encrypt his message. And only she, Alice, has her private key that he used only to decrypt the data. So notice how the public key and the private key, these are the both of Alice, but Bob can use Alice's public key because it's public to encrypt the data. Now, only Alice should have her private key, and that works because the message was encrypted for Alice to send to Alice, so only she should be able to decrypt the message. Notice Bob doesn't need to decrypt the message because he wrote the message, he has the original one. So this kind of asymmetric encoding, also called public and private key encryption, uses a public key and a private key, one to encrypt and the other to decrypt. An example of this is actually the use of HTTPS, which you may have seen on your browser in the address to web pages and the URLs. So HTTPS is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is the HTTP, the standard web protocol, but this one is more secure. It uses an additional transport layer security in the protocol for the connection to websites all around the World Wide Web via the web browser. So, and this system of HTTPS does use this public-private key cryptography or public-private key framework, and also the notion of these documents called digital certificates to both authenticate the website and encrypt the connection to a website. So each website or domain, so this is the same as the domain, and we talked about domain before. So essentially this is the IP address of a computer server that can provide the website. They can acquire a digital certificate, which is an electronic document that proves the site is legitimate by another entity called the certificate authority. And these are kind of just private businesses or sometimes nonprofits associated with these operations as well. So suppose you have your browser. So this is a browser we have here, like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. You go to a page. It can be Amazon or your bank or something also, any kind of page. And you may nowadays often only see HTTPS, which is more secure. HTTPS uses a digital certificate, and your computer, your browser, not just the computer, the browser that is going to the website validates to see if the digital certificate is in fact valid by looking to see if it was certified by a certificate authority. So once a browser, which we also call the client program, makes a connection to the website, to the web server via HTTPS, the HTTPS is going to check to see if it has the valid certificate, which is good because we have a chance that this has been certified to be a legitimate website. And also in the process, it encrypts the data using a kind of public-private key cryptography like we talked about it before. So all the content that is traveling between you and the site is now all encrypted. Now remember, maybe some of this content is not that, is half of it is public because these are just t-shirts or sweaters. This is Amazon products that anybody can search. But once you start signing up and logging onto your account, let's remember, this is more sensitive information, your credit card information. So as you are sending it over the internet, all of this data is already encrypted with a different encoding. So if somebody does capture in the process, they won't be able to figure out what it is, not easily, because it's encrypted and it's more protected. There are some more other sites and videos and web pages you can check out to learn more about how HTTPS work. Not all websites are connected to HTTPS. Some are HTTP, and nowadays web browsers will give a notification, a kind of warning to the user to see if they want to connect. HTTP itself doesn't mean it's malicious, but if you're dealing with sensitive data, bank information, personally sensitive data, you do want to make sure you have the HTTPS more secure connection. That's it for this one. See you next time.